What's the brief? Policy analysis.
Robin.
I'm not for the.
Mpaka sasa hivi hamna mgeni aliyoingia hata mmoja.
Yeah. Unataka kwamba tuendelee hapo kesho mpaka asubuhi. Mm, Zubeda. Kalale kabisa. Nataka nisikize chini. Kwa vile sisikii. Eti mbona mimi sisikii? Sio linki. Hmm? Irudi basi. Hii hapa. Mimi kikao kilichopita sikuhudhuria, nilikuwa kwenye kile kikao, nataka wametuma tena kwenye nataka nisikilize. Mhm. Tena miti nimeanza.
Hatujaanza lolote, tunakusikia. Tunakusikia uwe una mute na kuwasha mic.
Sawa. Mbona hujamute? Wacha basi. Naam. Ushiriki tatu na
mute.
Ndio pale ulikuwa unajigrab na. Unaelewa? Na hela vizuri kabisa. Ilikuwa ina au ndo mtoto. Tunaiyo. Bongole. Hapo kashafi bela.
Sasa present
Kula. Last time tulikuwa na 190 people. 207 ni 150. Yeah, 150 people kwa wait. Utabaesi. Nani anaweza calculate kwamba amwezi sasa hivi kutumia calculator za simu natumia calculator za yani mali. Yeah, simu kutoa. Yeah, naingia tu function hii. No. Haya.
Lamek, can you mute your, tunakusikia huku Lamek, unaweza ukamute. Hello. Hello, it's time, and we are going to start our webinar, and I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you to this webinar. And our webinar will take a duration of 1 hour. And the name of our webinar today is Policy Situation for Application of Blockchain Technology in Contract Farming System. University of Dodoma is implementing a project called Investigating the Impact of Blockchain Technology in Promoting Inclusive Innovation in Tanzania's Agricultural Supply Chain. This project is we are implementing this project in 3 regions in Tanzania, and this region include Ruvuma region, we have Mtwara region, and Singida region. The project is funded by the IDRC, that is the International Development Research Center in Canada, and we have a collaboration, or we have some partners we are working with, like the Kesho Board of Tanzania, and the Tanzania Cooperative Development Commission, and the Warehouse Receipt Regulatory Body. These are the partner in which this project is working with. Also, we are working with the Sokoine University of Agriculture as part and parcel of this particular project. The project deals with cashew nuts, sesame, and sunflower. And the cashew nuts is in Mtwara, sesame in Ruvuma region, and sunflower in Singida region. We will have 3 years implementing this particular project, and we started the project in February 2023, and it will end in February 2026. The project has 3 main objectives, and objective number 1 is to gather information on policies and the outcomes of warehouse receipt system and CFS, that is a contract farming system for small agricultural businesses, with focus on benefit to women and informal businesses. And in this particular objective, we will also identify different challenges which facing warehouse receipt and contract farming system. The second objective is to evaluate how the introduction of blockchain technology affects the distribution of impacts of warehouse receipt system and the contract farming system in Tanzania. The third objective of our project is to share findings to the warehouse receipt system and contract farming system regulators, and developing strategies for using blockchain technology. So today we are dealing with the objective number 1, and particularly in the contract farming system, as we have conducted the same webinar on warehouse receipt last week. And today we will be having 2 presenters, and the first presenter is Dr. Frederick Ishengoma, who will present to us the policy landscape of contract farming in Tanzania. The second presenter will be Dr. Hilda Mwangakala, who will present to us the potential of blockchain technology in addressing policy challenges. Dr. Ishengoma, he's a lecturer, senior lecturer from the University of Dodoma, and in the College of Visual Education at the University of Dodoma. He holds a PhD in information engineering from Daegu University in South Korea, and a bachelor degree in information and communication technology management from Mzumbe University in Tanzania. His research focus is on leveraging ICT for socio-economic development and digital inclusion in developing country, emphasizing the role of information system and emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence and blockchain in supporting sustainable economic growth. Dr. Hilda, she is the head of Department of the Information System and Technology at the University of Dodoma. She received her Bachelor of Science degree in Information and Communication Technology Management from Mzumbe University in Tanzania, and later received a master degree in e-government and e-policy from Sang-Kyung Kwang University in South Korea. She also holds a PhD in information science from Loughborough University in the United Kingdom. Her research work focuses on ICT for development, which investigates the use of ICT to foster the development of various sectors in the country. As a researcher, she has been a principal investigator and a project manager, successfully coordinating the 2-year project funded by DAD and the DAYS NMT, as well as 2 1-year projects funded by IDRC and UDOM. She has also participated in as a co-investigator in several other projects funded by the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology and the University of Dodoma. After the profile of the 2 presenters of today, now I want to welcome Dr. Frederick Ishengoma to take us through on policy landscape and the contract farming system in Tanzania. You are welcome, Dr. Ishengoma.
Thank you, moderator, for wonderful introduction. I will proceed with the policy landscape of contract farming system. First, I will cover on the contract farming system. When we say contract farming system, the system involves the formal agreements between agricultural producers, which are normally the farmers, and buyers, which are typically agribusiness firms or processors. And the contracts establish predetermined terms and conditions for producing, pricing, and marketing agricultural products. The aim of the contract farming is to secure a market and access technical assistance, which will guarantee market for the agricultural smallholder farmers. And in Tanzania, this practice started in 90s in cotton, tobacco, tea, coffee, sisal, and sugarcane, but it was later adopted in National Agricultural Policy in 2013. Now, in our project, we did conduct policy analysis, and the aim was to explore how the existing policies support the contract farming system. And the analysis aimed to address 3 aspects. First, we evaluated the policy relevance concerning their ability to address the goals of the contract farming system. And in this, we wanted to see how well these policies align with the specific aims or goals of the CFS. And we looked at the inclusiveness of policy frameworks, particularly in their support for vulnerable groups, such as women, youth, and small-scale farmers. But also we explored the potential of integrating blockchain technology into the governance of CFS policies. The methodology we adopted for the study included a number of phases, on which we started with the document review, which included the review of scholarly literature and policy documents and technical reports. This review led to the compilation of policy analysis draft, which covered policy issues and policy relevance. Then once we had our draft ready, we moved to the validation phase. This step was for engaging with the stakeholders and field surveys to ensure the accuracy and effectiveness of our policy analysis. And with validation complete, we have now entered the dissemination stage. And the first part of this involved a stakeholders workshop, which has already taken place. And this is now we are in the second part of webinar. And this webinar will lead us to the next phase of policy brief. Overview of existing policies governing the CFS. We reviewed a total of 8 policies, which include the National Strategy for Youth Involvement in Agriculture, Agricultural Sector Policy of Zanzibar, the Crops Law, Tanzania Agricultural and Livestock Policy, National Agriculture Policy, Tanzania Agriculture and Food Security Investment Plan, Agricultural Sector Development Strategy Phase 2, and ICT Policy. And from this analysis, no policy was observed to be irrelevant to the CFS. All showed at least some links to address some of the needs of the CFS. And upon analysis, it was observed that certain policies align well with the goals of the CFS, while others of partial relevance. So we observe a number of challenges from the policy and its implementation. The first one, we observed the issues in gender equality and participation, where in the field observation, we see that there's a low amount of women representation. And while policy documents emphasize the importance of achieving gender equality, the policies fall short in full capturing the challenges that women face in participating at the ground level. For instance, in the National Agricultural Policy, now it highlights the need for equitable participation of men and women. However, observation suggests that this goal has not been fully translated into action on the ground. Similarly, the policies acknowledge the importance of inclusivity, but the actual representation of women in cultural activities, especially in CFS, was observed to be disproportionate low compared to men. Another challenge was the imbalance of power dynamics. In our field observation, we noted a clear case of information asymmetry, whereby smallholder farmers tend to have to be in a disadvantaged side with limited access to crucial information such as market data, price trend, and demand supply dynamics. Compared to the buyers, on the other hand, the buyers tend to possess more comprehensive information, granting them the strategic advantage towards negotiations. Moreover, our observation also, we observe the issue of limited extension services, whereby it was observed that smallholder farmers face inadequate access to extension services, which are essential for disseminating information on best agricultural practice. Now, on the policy side, while policies recognize the importance of agricultural information in driving development, there's still a need to have a more strong mechanism to strengthen access and dissemination of this information. Another issue observed was on fragmentation in CFS digital systems, where in the field we noticed that there are multiple systems with multiple modalities within the contact farming systems, which varies from one agricultural product to another. And this fragmentation poses the challenge of coordination. And from the policy side, the policies, most of the policies recognize the issue of coordination, and the stresses the importance of strengthening coordination in agricultural information services. However, despite this emphasis, for example, in NAP and agricultural sector development strategy, the reality on the ground still reflects that there are still siloed approaches. We observed also the issue of transparency and traceability. And For instance, despite the importance of understanding the terms and conditions of agreement, many farmers still find themselves in the dark regarding crucial aspects such as pricing mechanisms and quality standards. On the policy side, on this issue of transparency, most of the policy acknowledge the importance of transparency. However, in the reality, there's still some challenge in full reflecting this. We also observe the issue of price volatility, and then price volatility, we mean that the unpredictable fluctuations which can arise in prices of agricultural products over time. And small farmers engaging in contract farming often face with this challenge. While contract stipulate the predetermined price in the contract, we have predetermined price for agricultural products. Now, when we come to the actual market price, at some times they may vary significant, and this can be due to several issues, including global demand, weather condition, or change in government policies. Now, for smallholder farmers who often rely on agriculture as their primary source of income, this fluctuation can have some implications. From the policy side, they acknowledge the risk in price volatility, but the measures and the actual implementations to address these price volatility, they are still limited. We also observe the issue of breach of contract, and in CFS, trust is the key. And when one party breaks the agreement, it can lead to misunderstanding, disputes, or financial losses. And one significant reason toward breach we observe is due to economic challenges that are faced by smallholder farmers, whereby they sometimes these smallholder farmers, when they need cash instantly, but they don't have that cash, they have crops, they tend to side sell their crops, which leads to breaches in agreement. On the policy side, the issue of breaches, the policy highlights on fairness of activities in CFS, but they don't dive into the details of what to do when the breach occur. For example, the issue of side selling. And that's to really tackle this issue, we need to more than just broad statements, we need some specific actions or recommended action towards issues of side selling. Another observed challenge was long payment waiting, where there was an observation that some farmers have to wait a long time to get paid in CFS. Now, in context of smallholder farmers, timely payments are usually crucial because they need that money to cover their production costs and other financial obligations. And when these payments are delayed, it's not just a matter of inconvenience, it can have some serious repercussion. Now, policies talk about the importance of making finance more accessible to farmers, but they don't always cover the challenges that farmers face, especially when it comes to payment delays in CFS. Another challenge was the limited governing structure of the CFS compared to WRS, where in contract farming, it's all about farmers and buyers making contracts that work for them. And this flexibility can be good, but it also means that there can be some oversight or accountability issues. Now, when you compare to warehouse receipt system, which they have more of a formal governing structure in place with regulatory bodies seeing the operations, it seems that CFS is still in the disadvantaged side, where some oversight or accountability issues may occur compared to WRS. So that considering this, we note that there's a need for a governing structure in CFS. Now, the key stakeholders in CFS and their roles in shaping agricultural policies includes farmers and farmers organization, agribusiness, and industry association. These are normally for inputs and processing, government for policies and regulations, financial institutions for providing loans and financial services, international organization and donors, civil society organizations, and non-governmental organizations. These are our key stakeholders in CFS. And that marks the end of the presentation of the policy landscape on CFS. I present Mr. Moderator.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ishengoma, for a good presentation. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Hilda to take us through the potential of blockchain technology in addressing policy challenges. Dr. Hilda, you are welcome.
Thank you, Moderator. I'll be presenting on the potential of blockchain technology in addressing the identified challenges, as been presented by Dr. Ishengoma. But I'll start with giving a brief description on what is a blockchain technology, where it is a decentralized and distributed digital ledger that permanently records all transactions that have been executed and shared among the participating parties. And this allows that all members in the supply chain to have access to all the data and information that has been stored. And there are three key features or attributes, which include the immutability, where once data has been recorded in the system, it cannot be changed. And if there's a need to make any adjustment or modification on the data, the changes will be added to the existing information. So we have both set of data. But also another feature is transparency, where all parties or all actors in the chain, they will have access on the same data and on the same information. And every change that must be applied in the chain or in the system, it must be consented by all parties or by all actors. And then another key feature, or the last one, we say the security, because we say blockchain is a tamper-proof and it cannot be modified. Once the data is recorded, it is permanently. So it enhances the security features which lacks in other systems. In addressing the identified challenges, we observe that there is an issue of lower women representation in the CFS. Though they actively participate in farming activities and other production activities, but when it comes to major decisions, we saw a very low representation of women. So we believe once we apply blockchain technology, since every member or every institution and the home or household will be registered and they will have access to the data and information stored in the chain, it will enable women, despite of other roles or other limitations, to access the information. So if it comes to the issue of pricing or the market, they will all have access to the data at the comfort of their home, or even if they're doing other activities. That will, we believe, it will increase the gender representation in the CFS. Another issue was imbalanced power dynamics, where buyers were found to have more influence and power in the chain because of their financial muscle. They had power to influence prices. So if we use blockchain, because all data and all information will be accessed by everyone in the chain. So even farmers and other participating actors, including financial institutions or regulatory bodies, everyone will have access to the same information and they have to consent on what is put in the system or in the contract. So we believe it's able to moderate or to regulate the power between the actors in the chain. But also the smart contract, it will enable fairer negotiations between parties, and every part can easily agree or disagree on the term, and then they can sit on the table and negotiate without the influence of intermediaries. Another challenge was the issue of technology integration, where we saw the fragmentation in the modalities of CFS. There are some crops which the buyers, they provide the agro inputs and other services, And there are some crops where they just provide extension services, and the others which they just enter into agreement with farmers and they come to buy the produce. So we believe through smart contracts and blockchain, it will to standardize these contracts. So there will be a standardized contract templates which are stored in the system and which will be regulated by the respective crops or regulatory bodies, and it will reduce the discrepancies in these contract terms. The other issue was the issue of distribution of benefits from the contract farming, as presented by Dr. Shingoma, that there were some expectations when the government decided to introduce the CFS. But we saw that the benefits are not equally distributed among actors in the chain. Because we believe once you have a streamlined CFS, our effective contract farming system, there'll be market access will be increased for farmers, there'll be fair pricing and even access to extension services and agro-import. But that was not actually what is in the ground. So we believe through blockchain technology, since the system enable farmers to connect directly with the buyers, so it will remove or it will eliminate the intermediaries who have always been the roadblock, allowing farmers to get the fair price. But also it enable farmers and other actors in the chain to have access to the real-time market prices and the trends. So they will definitely see or they reap the benefits of their efforts. And also through transaction, because the system is transparent, they will have access to existing financial transactions and eventually to reduce the risk of fraud. Another challenge was the lack of transparency or transparent contract terms, because the farmers normally enters contract or sign contracts through AMCOS. So, and there was some issues and complaints that most of the time they are not aware of what are the contract terms are and what they expected to do. So we believe that through blockchain, farmers and all other responsible actors in the chain, they will have access and can verify the contract terms before accepting it or before signing it. So everyone will be aware on what the contract says and what is expected of them from farmers and what is expected from buyers as stipulated in the contract. But also the advantage is that the smart contract can automate the enforcement of contract terms, and it will ensure that every part meets its obligation as specified. The challenge of price volatility, we expect that through smart contracts, there will be we call price floors and ceiling, the minimum and the maximum prices on each crops, and it also will be able to automatically adjust the price based on the predefined market indices, which will be identified in the contract. So this one it's able to regulate or to minimize the fluctuation of prices contrary to what is happening now. But also the issue of access to real-time market data. So if there's anything that is affecting, let's say, the world market, it can be easily accommodated in the system and taken into consideration and recalculated the fair price based on the fluctuation that has been happening in the world market. The other challenge was the breach of contract, which it was observed in both parties. On buyer side, there was issue of buying or not abiding to the agreed price because of the quality of the product or produce that has been submitted or due to other reasons. And on the farmer's side, there was the issue of side selling, where because of lack or the need of financial finance, most farmers or some of the farmers were found to sell the produce and tell the buyer that they did not get the expected harvest. So we believe through smart contracts, because there'll be predefined actions and conditions. So once the farmer has met the predefined quality conditions or quality terms, the payment will be automatically initiated. And if it is not, that means there will not be payment. And also it will allow to set the different prices depending on the quality of the product that has been submitted to the buyer. So this will enable a fair round where the buyer gets what is expected as raw materials, but also farmers, they get the fair price according to what they have produced or the quality of the produce they have submitted. But this one is also enabled to facilitate dispute resolutions because the data are immutable and all terms have been clearly stipulated in the contract. So there will be no complaints on either side that the other one is oppressing the other or any other issue. And the last challenge was the long waiting payment. Through blockchain and smart contract, it will enable that once the farmer, let's say, has completed and submitted the produce as expected and it is of the quality that was stated, the system can automatically initiate payment processes. So that's one will allow the farmer to get payment on time, even if other processes in the chain are still going on, but as long as the farmer has completed his obligation, he can receive the payment. But also there will be the avenue where you can put in the contract that after a certain period of time, while we are waiting for receiving or harvesting, the farmer can be assisted in a way for a certain amount of money that will enable them to sustain during the period where they're waiting harvest. And this one will help to control the issue of side selling, which has been presented by the first presenter. So these are what you expect and the potentials of blockchain to address the challenges. And moving forward, we expect that after this webinar, because we are going to do what we call policy recommendations, first through policy briefs that will be immediately disseminated after these webinars, but also at the end of the project, after testing our innovation or our blockchain system on the ground and getting the finding of the results, if it works, we expect to make policy recommendations to the government on how they can integrate emerging technologies such as blockchain to improve the agricultural supply chains, but also other supply chains in the country. But also we expect to conduct capacity building for farmers, financial institutions, buyers, regulators, and all other actors who is involved in the chain on how to use the blockchain system. And this one will take time, of course, we believe, and then more emphasis will be put on farmers, given the condition we know they are, the technology capability and the literacy, but we ensure that everyone can easily and access and use the system. Then we'll pilot implement our project to the selected regions, which is presented. That will be Mtwara, Singida, and Ruvuma. Then after a period of 6 months, we continue monitoring and evaluation to see the performance of the system. And if there's any issue that need to be addressed, we'll address them while the system is being used. And at the end of the day, make the respective policy recommendation as I stated earlier. And lastly, we continue engaging all our stakeholders. We presented some of the stakeholders of this project, but also everyone who is in one way or another is involved with the CFS will also be engaged, including the TMX and other bodies. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Hilda, for a good presentation. And thank you, Dr. Shengoma, for the first presentation. Now we have time for the floor to give some opinion from the presentation. And also, if you have any question, any recommendation, any opinion, the floor is yours. You can raise up your hand and then you can contribute from both presentation. You are welcome. Dr. Judith, please welcome.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, yes.
Okay, congratulations for the very good presentations from both presenters and very good work to moderator. I only have one concern, and that cuts across all the presentations and the final conclusion from the last presenter, and specifically on making sure that all parties of the contract are aware of what is going on. In the previous studies, I happened to work with contract farmers from cotton, and the biggest issue was to understand the terms, and that was because of the language barrier. So how are you ensuring in this particular development that you're aiming at, how are you going to tackle that? How are you going to make sure that that particular terms are understood by the farmers who don't even understand proper Swahili, or because all the contracts are mostly in English? And is this type of the blockchain, is it going to be written in a user-friendly language, or yeah, just that's what I wanted to contribute and ask if I may be enlightened. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Judith, for a very good question. And I think the presenters, they can reply to this useful question. Dr. Hilda, can you reply on this question?
Thank you. On that one, of course, we expect to have the contracts in both languages, in Swahili and in English. Now, according to what we found out on the field, is that most people actually, of the farmers that have been working with, they understand English, and sorry, they understand Swahili. So that will be not a problem. But also to facilitate access, we expect to use the mobile phones, the normal messaging method where they can query for information and get it, like the way they're using for mobile money services. So that will ensure that we have included our farmers despite their literacy level or other challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hilda, for the good reply. Doris, you have a question, please. You are welcome.
Thank you very much. This was actually a very insightful presentation, but I have a question based on what has been represented. So far in the whole research, we're considering blockchain technology as the key integrating factor that will solve certain issues in the agriculture activity. Now, we know these infrastructures, they have disparities, like we differ in using them and even in the knowledge of understanding them and even in accessing them. We differ in that aspect. Now, how can we actually say blockchain technology will ensure inclusivity and equitable participation? I mean, can at least one member elaborate to me insightfully, like, will blockchain technology actually ensure inclusivity and equitability participation, given the fact that women don't even play a bigger role? You haven't even spoken about also people with disabilities or people from outside the country and stuff like that. So I need to get that elaboration from one of the members. That is one question. And I do have another question. I mean, how does integrating blockchain technology in contract farming system contribute to achieving the sustainable development goals? I think our entire economy bases on the sustainability of given systems. So we do have sustainable development goals. So how does blockchain technology that is in Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doris, for the good questions. You have two questions here. The question number one is how the blockchain technology will be inclusive and equitable enough for different beneficiaries of this contract farming system participation. But also you wanted to know how the blockchain technology integration will lead to contribute to attain a sustainable development goal. I have Dr. Frederick Ishengoma. He wanted to respond one of your questions. You are welcome, Dr. Ishengoma.
Thank you, moderator. On the first question, considering the emerging nature of blockchain technology and varying levels of ICT literacy among stakeholders, especially smallholder farmers, the project will use what we call inclusive approach. In inclusive approach, we are referring to strategies that prioritize breaking down any barriers or challenges to ensure that all stakeholders are on the same level of understanding. And like Dr. Eldad said, the first approach is to express the contracts in Swahili language and English language, so that those who are not comfortable with the English language can also understand in Swahili language. But also we'll be having community-based training and workshops whereby all stakeholders will be involved or engaged to make sure that we are in the same level of understanding. But also this technology will be employed in a mobile application and simplified user interface. And by this, I mean you can have a smartphone and access the technology, but also if the smallholder farmers don't have access to smartphones, even the basic user phones, the Kiswaswadu can be used with a USSD application, whereby smallholder farmers can just enter a simple shortcode and access critical information such as the contract details from the system. On the second question, how does the integration of blockchain contribute to SDGs? We know that there are 17 SDGs. Now, in this blockchain integration CFS, some of them are aligned to a number of SDG goals. For example, if we talk about the goal number 1 of no poverty, the blockchain facilitates transparent and secure financial transaction. And in this way, we ensure that the farmers receive their fair compensation of their agricultural products. And this will make sure that farmers receive what has been agreed in the contract without any possibility of tampering or underpayment. Also, we have smart contracts. Smart contracts automate the contracts. So with smart contracts on a payment issues, they just been coded that it automatically releases the payments once the buyer confirms the receipt of the products. So in one or another, it contributes to goal number 1, but in goal number 2, which is zero hunger, since the blockchain, one of the characteristics is to enhance traceability. In zero hunger, the SDG emphasizes to end hunger, but also to achieve food security. Now, food security and sustainable culture. Now, in food security, one of the way you can enhance food security is by ensuring the traceability. For example, if this sunflower farmer can record every stage of the crop journey from planting to harvesting, that's when an issue of food safety arises, it can be traced back. So that is food security, and it contributes to goal number 2 of zero hunger. Thank you, moderator.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Ishengoma, for a very good answers from Doris. And I hope, Dr. Hector, you raise up your hand. Maybe you have something you want to contribute. Dr. Hector, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, moderator. Actually, I was expecting to answer that question, but Dr. Shingoma has answered it very correctly. And I also join others to congratulate the two presenters, main presenters, for their good presentation. I would add a few on that. One is on how the research is going to ensure inclusivity and the participation of disadvantaged groups. This project is a research work, and we are hypothesizing some aspects, including that BCT has potential to influence or to improve the supply chains, especially in these two innovation systems, contract farming and warehouse receipt systems. Now we are focusing on contract farming. So at the end, we'll be able to answer this question after we have thoroughly investigated and come up with the results. As of now, we are still hypothesizing, but as presenters have said, the literature indicates that there is potential in several areas, and we have itemized areas of research, of policy that also need to be improved alongside with the introduction of blockchain technology. The second one about incorporation of or how the project is will contribute to sustainable development goals. I would say, in addition to what Dr. Shengoma has said, that this project is being implemented by the so-called ICT for Development Research Group in the University of Dodoma. And as we know, ICT for Development was coined within IDRC systems in early 2000s. And actually, it was about how ICT will support the achievement of Millennium Development Goals during that time, and now the Sustainable Development Goals. So we are very, very interested in aligning our activities with the sustainability or sustainable goals. Apart from contributing to goal number 1 and 2 in the respective areas, we are also going to contribute to goal number 8, which is decent work, helping those who are disadvantaged to get or to reap something out of their labor. As of now, they feel they are being exploited because the system actually disfavor them. But also we are going to contribute on goal number 10, reduced inequalities. We are going to address issues that lead to inequalities between formal and informal SMEs. And finally, we are going to contribute to partnership for the goals, because we are working with several stakeholders as have been listed, and this helps us to collectively work together to achieve the objectives of this project. Thank you, moderator. Back to you.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Hector Mongi, for good response. And I have one comment here from Paul Manota. He said, in addition to what Dr. Ishengoma has responded in the issue of equitability and inclusivity, since low women representation was observed from the baseline, the technology will ensure both gender and visible and equally valued because of the transparency nature of the blockchain technology. Thank you very much, Paul Manota, for the contribution. So I welcome other participants to contribute of what have been presented. Please, you can raise up your hand if you have something to contribute or asking for clarification. Okay, Dr. Deo, please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. And also like to congratulate the presenters and you as well for the very good moderation. I wanted to add on what Dr. Munge has responded, that how are we going to ensure this project really get adopted and bring the impact that we are expecting to deliver. Of course, the approach that we are using to develop this innovative solution is kind of inclusive. So we are engaging the users from the beginning. We have had several engagement with the users of different groups. And this is to ensure that they own this solution from the very beginning. So we are actually implementing the solution of the really existing problem. So by doing so, we in software engineering, this is what we call the agile development. So we make the users in the driving seat of the solution development process. So we have tried to follow this kind of an approach to ensure that the solution really makes sense to the user from the very beginning. So we are trying to implement the ideas that users have in a standard way to solve their problem. And therefore, you can see we'll be having pilot projects where we'll also be learning the user experience, try to fine-tune the solution to fit the context. But at the end, also, we'll be trying to create building the capacity of these users in using this particular system. And also, we are trying to also to provide policy support, develop the policy briefs, to give the policymakers understanding on what is in the field, to ensure even when the solution is in place, it can easily be adopted by both ends, the users, the decision makers, the policymakers. But again, we also try to see how we can link up the stakeholders to create the stakeholder ecosystem. And this will actually make the system, the solution that will be coming at the end more sustainable and owned by the community. So that is what I think, that is what we give us assurance that at the end, this solution won't end up in the labs, but it will be scaled up in the field and bring the impact that we expect. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Deo, for your contribution. And we still have 6 minutes for our webinar today. So if you have any contribution, the participants, you are welcome to present to us. Mr. Sheyo, you have something all the way from Katavi, I think. Mr. Sheyo, you are welcome for your contribution. Can you give us the experience from Katavi on contract farming?
Anyway, there are no much such a thing of contract farming here, but what I'm enjoying is that I'm grasping a lot of things which we can really practice here now. So I'm here observing and trapping what you are discussing on, so that we can practice here at the grassroots. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheo, for your observation. We still have time. So if you wanted to contribute, Dr. Judith Valerian, if you have something to advise us from Sokoine University of Agriculture, please, can you say something on to improve our work?
I think the only I see that it's really very well crafted, and I really congratulate you all for a very good work. And I think it's going to really bring changes from the way things are now. And maybe it's also high time to also look into livestock sector as well in the terms of contract farming. There are some kind of like emerging ways of sort of contract farming between processing companies and livestock producers in several subsectors. So I think maybe we will learn from what is happening after you have started with this, but giving a room for also other sectors to learn and be able to adapt to this. But so far, I see really good prospects for this development. So I congratulate the team very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Judith, for the compliment. And I would like also to welcome Joshua from Bandari. Can you say something, Mr. Joshua?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for nice presentation from both of the researchers. But I wanted to add something concerning with the data ownership and the data control, because all this about blockchain in agriculture and the concern with all the women, but we need just to see with the blockchain with the integration with the data ownership and the data control, because it needs a lot to ensure that we have a really transparency in data management, and ensure that the women have a full ownership with the data. So my concern is for the big concern is how far with the new legislation concern with the data, and this about the data legislation. So I need just to know and to know it. Yeah, it's something like that.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Joshua Njogolo from Bandari College. And I would like to welcome Dr. Hector. Hope you can answer this question very well. You are welcome, Dr. Hector.
Thank you very much, moderator. And I thank the person who has asked the question. Unfortunately, I didn't catch it. Yes, one of the requirements of the implementation of this project is having a robust data management plan. So we have this plan in place, but also we need to have some agreements with our key stakeholders who actually hold data or are the custodians of data. And we are doing this because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. That is, we don't want to collect the same data that are already existing, and we are looking on how we can share some of these data, especially during the research. And then there may be another arrangement for actual execution of integrated blockchain in various systems. So we do have a data management plan, a comprehensive one, but also we are now engaging our stakeholders so that we can sign a memorandum of understanding and specific agreements on how we are going to share the existing and the new data that are going to be collected. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hector, for your response. I think, Joshua, you are comfortable from the response from Dr. Hector.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I would like to ask Mr. Doto Mgeni. You were with us last week, and also Amos Masemo. Hope you can say something before we close our webinar today. Doto Mgeni, can you say something, please? Welcome to the mic.
Asante sana, Mr. Bongole. So based on that, based on my voice, I think you have noticed that I'm not Mr. And
oh, thank you. Sorry for that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I want to commend the team for the good work you're doing. Last week discussion and this week discussions, you are doing a lot to improve agriculture sector and making it sustainable through digitization. And this is the way to go worldwide. So keep up the good work and lots of congrats to the whole team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mgeni. The floor is yours, Amos Masembo.
Okay. Let me thank all presenters for the good works. The works is nice. So I get something to learn from them. That is all.
Okay, thank you very much, Amos. And this will be the end of our webinar today. But before we leave, I would like to invite the principal investigator to say a word of thanks to you, all the participants, and give us the way forward later. You are welcome, Dr. Hilda.
Thank you very much, moderator. I would like to thank everyone for participating in our webinar from last week to today's webinar. We really appreciate your contribution and we highly value it. And we welcome the comments and feedback that you have given us. And we're sort of series of these one or other types of workshops. So when we share that information, we'd like you to participate. Thank you very much and welcome again next time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hilda, and I would like to say bye-bye. Thank you for participation.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Asante sana, Doctor.